The PlayStation 4, which arrived in late 2013, is arguably one of the greatest consoles ever created, a point proved by its massive lifespan, staying strong all the way up to the inevitable release of the PlayStation 5 in 2020. As a result, whittling down the list of the best PS4 games of all time is no small feat, and will start an argument between the best of friends in a matter of minutes. But there's a core selection of 10 greats that deserve to be in absolutely anyone's collection. Even though a complete library of the finest PlayStation 4 releases will span 30 or 40 titles, this is the best way to get your selection started.
2016's Ratchet & Clank is a reimagining of the original game for the PS2 in 2002, developed by Insomniac Games, the same team behind Spyro the Dragon, Resistance: Fall of Man, and Marvel's Spider-Man. This Ratchet & Clank reboot is a platformer that follows the story of a Lombax mechanic named Ratchet and his robot companion Clank, who take on the evil Chairman Drake. Ratchet & Clank is a vibrant, fast-paced third-person romp with plenty of fighting and shooting, courtesy of its vast variety of weird and wacky weapons. It's also genuinely funny, both for kids and adults. All in all, it's a polished and fun adventure that offers well over 20 hours of gameplay for completionists, and the perfect excuse to then try out the spectacular Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart for the PS5.
It might not be everyone's cup of tea due to its Souls-like qualities, but it's impossible to question Bloodborne's brilliance. From Software's only PS4 exclusive action-adventure takes place in the gothic and nightmarish city of Yharnam, as you, a hunter, try to figure out a deadly plague. It's brutally challenging and fast-paced, but Bloodborne excels by encouraging players to be just as aggressive as your frankly disgusting enemies. If you know the Labyrinth's Madvan, you know. It's the perfect Lovecraftian title, and arguably one of the biggest reasons to buy a PS4 in the first place.
As the follow-up to what is probably the best PS3 game of all time, The Last of Us Part 2 takes things up an even greater notch with possibly the most cinematic game in recent memory, combining the ever greater horrors of a post-apocalyptic US with the even greater threats posed by humanity itself. The story of Joel and Ellie takes an even darker turn as the pair rebuild their life in Jackson, Wyoming, 4 years after the dramatic events of The Last of Us. Even putting the millions of infected to one side, it's not all sunshine and rainbows for the pair, who have to deal with new factions, threats, and each other. Credit where credit's due, without spoiling either the game or the show, The Last of Us TV series proved that the events of Part 2 were hugely impactful, incredibly divisive, and unbelievably good drama. The fact that its showrunners barely needed to change the source material only proves how universally excellent it is, and why it's the best PS4 game outright, as well as the console's finest exclusive.
As another Insomniac title, that studio knows how to make a brilliant action-adventure. Marvel's Spider-Man does the greatest justice to the web-slinging superhero as we know him now, as he balances his dual identity while taking on iconic villains like Dr. Octopus, Scorpion, Rhino, and Shocker. If you want fluid web-swinging, satisfying combat, and a great narrative, look no further. Spider-Man showcases the true beauty of New York City with its stunningly faithful and detailed replica of Manhattan, and will firmly be remembered as one of the best PS4 games ever made.
After a trio of celebrated titles on the PS2 and PS3, an older, calmer Kratos headlines 2018's God of War. Santa Monica Studio reinvents the series with a more mature and emotional approach, centered on an understandably protective Kratos as he and his son Atreus journey through a world inspired by Norse mythology. Not that it's any less visceral. In its shape from a hack-and-slash romp to Resident Evil 4-style over-the-shoulder combat, God of War 2018 combines puzzle-solving, exploration, secrets, and satisfying combat with some truly memorable moments, even if many of them are blood-soaked. A game so good that they re-released it twice, Shadow of the Colossus is one of the most stunning yet consistently heartbreaking games of the last 20 years. As arguably Japan studio's finest effort, Shadow of the Colossus puts you in the boots of Wander, riding his horse Agro as he seeks to revive a girl called Mono. Light on story but heavy on beautiful art, you're told by an unknown force that the only way to wake her up is to slay 16 Colossi, which roam the area. To kill them, you literally have to climb them and find their weak spots, while working out how to defeat each one by hiding, dodging, clamoring, or using the environment. Each monster has its quirks, but there's a bittersweet feeling with each downed enemy, one enhanced by Ko Otani's best-in-class soundtrack that you'll listen to independently for years to come. Ghost of Tsushima is one of the most unapologetically beautiful games of its generation. The type of experience that remains a fan favorite of in-game photographers the world over. This open-world action-adventure game, developed by Sucker Punch Productions, of Sly Cooper and Infamous fame, is set during the Mongol invasion of 13th century Japan. It follows the antics of Jin Sakai, a samurai, whose quest to balance tradition with stealth sees you become the titular ghost to protect your homeland. Unlike Souls-like Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Ghost of Tsushima features much more forgiving and cinematic sword combat, a light UI, fluid gameplay, and emotional storytelling, all tied up with some of the most stunning landscapes the PS4 has to offer.
All is not what it seems with Horizon Zero Dawn, as yet another third-person action title, though this time with deeper RPG elements. Guerrilla Games' magnum opus puts you in a post-apocalyptic Earth where robotic creatures dominate the land. You're Aloy, a young but skilled hunter and outcast as she tries to make sense of her world's secrets. Between stunning world building and a fantastic, if occasionally predictable, story, Horizon Zero Dawn establishes itself as one of the best PS4 games, using detailed and innovatively designed environments alongside strategic combat, adding so much more lore to its already intriguing sci-fi story. You can pick it up for pocket change, and few other titles will give you the same value for money.
Uncharted 4 is frankly the quintessential PS4 game. A third-person, action-heavy, wisecracking, jaw-dropping, barely believable romp that puts a big, stupid smile on your face from minute one and never stops upping the ante. After 3 games to build Nathan Drake's ridiculous universe, Uncharted 4 may not be the best of the bunch, but it's not far off. Enhanced by best of the best acting talent, Nolan North, Laura Bailey, Troy Baker, Uncharted 4 delves into Drake's past relationship with his missing and presumed dead brother, Sam. The Relentless group takes you through Panama, Italy, Scotland, Madagascar, and a mythical pirate utopia, and you'll love every minute.
Final Fantasy VII needs no reintroduction, given it's already one of the greatest PlayStation games ever made. But Final Fantasy VII Remake manages to take the same formula and story and make something completely new and different, but just as brilliant. Square's flagship RPG, which starts as a terrorist plot before unfurling into both an ecological and identity crisis, should be in every PS4 owner's library. Admittedly, it's only the first of 3 parts to the original Final Fantasy VII. Rebirth, the second installment, arrived on PS5 in 2024, and the third, yet unnamed chapter is yet to be announced. But there's no way it won't be called Reunion. It has to be called Reunion.